According to Donald Trump, the war between U.S., Israel, and Iran will soon come to an end. According to information, Donald Trump has promised that the war will end soon. And because Donald Trump has made the statement, a lot of countries are very, very happy that this escalation will soon come to an end. And because they feel like the escalation will soon come to an end, they have now opened their reserve. So, according to the information we are hearing, a lot of countries are currently, you know, putting their oil reserve in the market. And this has led to a very, very huge drop in the price of oil. Now we have oil going back to somewhere around 75 to $80 per barrel, which was against the gradient of the explosion that was about to happen when the price of oil was, according to some, they were predicting $150 per barrel. But now we have a de-escalation of the price, because we'll call it a de-escalation because, the the oil inflation was beginning to affect everybody. The amount of money I spent on buying oil today was absolutely devastating. Even if Nigeria is one of the oil producing states, you know, and we understand that we don't have subsidy, in Nigeria, but for no reason should the price of oil in Nigeria blow through the roof like that. You know, um, it's as if we are the ones on the battlefield. It's as if it's the Nigerian oil reserve that was being blown up. And I was really, really praying. Thank you so much, brother Omar. Oh, welcome back. I've missed you. I've missed you so much. It's been a while. So, you know, I was beginning to question myself that how long, are we going to be able to continue like this? Because things are really, really hard. Already things are hard. And one very funny thing about Africa is that people take advantage of situation like this to escalate prices of things. They will tell you that, oh, the price of fuel is now, transportation, everything has gone up. So everything becomes very, very toxic across board. Unfortunately, the worst aspect of this whole scenario is the fact that the National Electrical Power Holding Company, this is the time when they are now giving less electricity to the citizen so that the citizens will be forced to buy the oil. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, the heat currently is devastating. So I sat down this afternoon and I was asking myself, is the world somehow weaponized against us? Sometimes that things just go wrong and everything just start going wrong and just, you know. But anyway, yeah, I'm very, very good now, families. I'm very, very good. I really appreciate everyone for coming. I appreciate you all, man. The Android community remains. So now, Donald Trump said the war will now be coming to an end very, very soon. According to Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel will continue the war for the next 2 weeks. Now, I don't know if that is with regards to Iran or probably as regards Lebanon. That's the big question we really cannot answer now. How long will Israel continue to escalate with Lebanon? I kind of feel like Israel can afford to continue the aggression against Lebanon for as long as possible. Okay? But when we go to the conflict with Iran, I think the words of Benjamin Netanyahu that the war will end in 2 weeks' time is going to be, possible. Now, Iran has done something again. The Iranian spokesperson has now finally come out and said the war, he said the war is not ending anytime soon. And to be honest with you guys, I don't know how to feel because this economy is touching everybody. The Iranians are saying that there will be no ceasefire until they have been able to take their revenge. You know, when I saw this information this evening, to be honest with you, I won't lie, I was like, what are you talking about? To be honest with you, somehow, some way, this conflict is affecting everybody. I don't I don't know. This conflict is affecting everybody. We are having a significant jump in oil price every day. Now, a lot of people are going to think blocking the Strait of Hormuz has everything to do with just oil. No. Whatever comes out of the Gulf states, the Persian Gulf, right? You see, all those states that is along the circumference of the Strait of Hormuz before you get to Iran, whatever they export has not been able to move through. So the tanker traffic, the ship traffic that you are looking at, is a traffic of both oil and, non-hydrocarbon materials that are supposed to be exported. Okay? According to the information we are hearing recently, that the GCC states are beginning to auction gold because the people that ordered for the gold, the delay has gone beyond the normal time. And according to the information they are giving us, that the GCC states, some of which, Qatar, Oman, no Oman, Saudi Arabia, and all others, they cannot tell when this war will end. Okay? So I believe that now that we are seeing Donald Trump talking about de-escalating very soon and this war coming to an end, there is a high probability that there is a lot of pressure coming from the European partners and coming from the GCC states. Because I will say this again, the economic lifeline of the GCC is number one, tourism, number two, their oil, number three, gold. So when you take these three things away, the GCC states is nothing anymore. Religious tourism in terms of the Mecca, Medina, the Al-Aqsa, and a lot of other places that people normally come to visit for pilgrimage. And then oil, right? And all other oil products. Then other things, okay? Some rare earth natural resources are even being mined from this environment, okay? Yes, a lot of urea, fertilizers, urea fertilizers are supposed to be exported. So this will equally affect agriculture. Now, Iran is saying there will be no ceasefire, meaning that we can have a prolonged conflict, which I don't want anymore. I'm just speaking, I don't know if I'm speaking for the public opinion. I'm not speaking for the public opinion. But the way I'm feeling right now is very, very, not so good. Okay. So we are now looking at a situation where a lot of people are asking one question. Is there something that Iran know that we don't know? If the United States is saying, I'm ready to de-escalate, I'm ready to ceasefire, okay? And Iran is saying, and don't forget, Iran is supposed to be the underdog. I mean, the overwhelming underdog. But the same underdog that nobody is given a chance coming into this conflict because of the collaboration, the tag team of the United States and Israel. Nobody gave Iran a significant chance, And now Iran is saying, I don't want peace. I only want problem. Honestly, I won't lie to you. I don't enjoy that information, but I enjoy that information. Right? I don't enjoy the information because economically, a lot of people are going to they are going to die. Economically, okay? Hospital bill, everything is going to go through the roof. Some people will not be able to afford treatment anymore. So this is not just oil. This is like everything. Now we all can see why we all matter. And in a situation where the warmongering coalition are trying to cause chaos, this is the reason why we all must speak up against aggression. Because at the end of the day, we might be looking at aggressions from the perspective of Nigeria have Dangote, but Dangote is a private, is a private investor. It's a private businessman. This is not Nigeria's oil. This is not Nigeria's refinery. Dangote pay taxes to the Nigerian government. So for Dangote, Dangote is coming from the perspective of a businessman, trying to capture a larger market size, probably want to be among the richest man on the planet. The Dangote project was not designed to make Nigerian life easier, but not to take care of Nigerians to the point where Dangote will be like, okay, now that there is oil crisis, everywhere is going to be Delta Hotel. No, Dangote, that's not the purpose of Dangote. The purpose of Dangote is to compete as a businessman. Make sure that he can capture a lot of market. He's thinking as a businessman, okay? Nigeria has multiple refineries, but the last time I checked, three men, they shared 21 trillion naira among themselves, a fund that is supposed to be used to repair the refinery. And probably maybe Nigerians will not be affected right now. But that is not the issue. There is a probability that Iran knows something that we don't know. Yesterday, General Jabari said that, okay, before I move forward, there is a particular missile that the American Israeli coalition shot at a particular building today in Iran, central Tehran. Unfortunately, the missile capability did not detonate. So they have now recovered it. If they are going to, I don't know if there is anything, if it's going to lead to, if it's going to bring about any type of strategic advantage to them or whatever, but they've recovered the missile. Okay. Um, Now we are looking at a situation where the United States has now recovered their defense capability from South Korea. According to the information, the South Korean government, they condemned that particular attempt. Now it's no longer an attempt. The defense capabilities have been recovered. Okay? And don't forget, the entire American entity, they have 11 Patriots, they have 11 THAAD system, okay? Terminal High Altitude Air Defense System. And out of that 11, Iran has destroyed 4. Now you have 7 left, okay? The question is, they have other defense capability, but that is the best of America, okay? Can 7 air defense system capability, like some of the best, right? Can it protect the entire American mainland? No. America's defense capability has been, been on the decline from Ukraine. And this war came at the wrong time. I kind of believe that the generals, the advisors of President Trump should have or could have advised them that this war, we are not prepared for this level of escalation. But when you go on the social media and you listen to Pete Hegseth, you listen to Marco Rubio, I think there is another guy. You listen to J.D. Vance. I think J.D. Vance is a little bit honest among them. But you see, I don't know. But I feel like the most dishonest among these guys is Pete Hegseth. He's extremely dishonest with the president of the United States. And when he talks about the situation going on in the Middle East, he talks as if America is dictating the escalation, tempo, as if America has control of the escalation, as if America, but it's not true. And this is making, you see, let me tell you something, okay? One single error in a protracted conflict will build up to multiple bad decisions. And multiple bad decisions over time will lead to an eventual collapse. So when you see the collapse, right, everything will come down suddenly. That was the same thing that happened in Ukraine, where they started, kidnapping citizens on the streets and drafting them for war. Because a lot of good men had been lost out of bad decision, miscalculation. And when you are miscalculating, instead of you to learn from a place of maturity, from a place of humility, right? That is what makes you better on the line of contact. When you are humble enough to learn, you improvise, you adapt, you become better. But we are looking at a situation where there is, from a conventional standpoint, we are looking at a strategic failure. Okay? From a conventional standpoint, we are looking at a strategic failure. And instead of an admission from the command control centers to be like, okay, now guys, look, we need to pull back. We don't have the stockpile, we don't have the resources for a protracted conflict. We have a lot to deal with. Our economy is suffering back at home. We need to take care of our people. How many Americans die every day? Right? How many Americans can afford good health? Okay? There is a lot to do at home. But here you are in the Persian Gulf. Now I kind of understand the perspective that Donald Trump is coming from. But it is not necessary that it comes from this perspective. Donald Trump is trying to make America great by being a bully. Now, a lot of people will look at Donald Trump and they will be like, why is he like this? He's negotiating with you and he's about to attack you. So this is going to make allies that are closer to the strength, that are very, very strong and very, very closer to the level of America in terms of strength, they will start looking at America like, we can't deal with this guy. But because they are scared, right? Because we have a lot of people that are scared, they don't want trouble with America. They've now all become puppets. But you see this conflict with Iran, there is already one victory for Iran. And that victory is that Iran has been able to expose the hegemony to the world. That, look, this guy is not invincible. If a lot of people, if you guys are watching TikTok videos, you will see this PR video where people say things like, I don't know if a lot of you have seen that video. We don't know what you serve. We don't care if we don't care who you serve. We don't care where you're from. If you do this and this to Americans, another man will raise your kids and all this type of PR stunts and all of that, right? So Iran has been able to do one thing, which is a strategic victory, depending on the plan of Iran, that look, this guy is not invincible. Iran has been able to undermine the American empire. Now, what happens at this critical point is that other, potential bad boys will now start looking at America like, man, and you will have some people in one corner that will probably be grumbling, right? Man, he can't fuck with me. They can't they can't confront America and say this thing, but they'll be like, man, I think I can't even do more damage. This is what happens in situations like this. People will now start assessing their capabilities and assessing, because Iran has been able to show the world the blueprint of how to frustrate America in an high intensity conflict. That look, you can frustrate this guy. This is the blueprint on how you attack them. Now, I'm talking about this on the average level. And on the superpower level, these guys are getting the direct template of how to confront America with a better chance of coming out on top in the future. Because now they are looking at the naval, planning of the American forces. They are looking at, how the American deploy when they bring in the carrier strike group, how the Americans operate. That is what they are looking at right now. And they are monitoring with satellite image. They are doing everything they are doing. I want to break one information that just came out now. I think this was a retaliation. Israel has now attacked 4 Iranian diplomats. Is it in Lebanon? I don't know what they are still doing in Lebanon, but 4 of them are gone. It was a targeted strike and it was precise. It was, this strike, were in the capacity of those strikes that happened during the 12-day war, the early days of those 12-day war. Those type of strikes that go through the wall. That is the type of strike I saw right there. And I felt like those guys, they actually compromised both their operational security by being in Lebanon at this point in time. And they equally compromised not just their operational security, but their communication security. Their communication security inside Iran will probably have multi-layers of, communication defense. But the fact that you are in Lebanon, the Lebanese government is on one side, the Hezbollah is on the other side. So the fact that you are Iranians in Lebanon right now kind of makes you a target. So that is why you have a clean shot. That's easy kill for the Israelis, okay? The Americans didn't do it. According to reports, the Israelis did it, okay? Probably is a retaliation for the targeting of Benjamin Netanyahu's brother. And I don't know the situational report of the status of Ben Gavir. It was also hit, even though they are trying to twist and turn the information. Now, in a huge conflict like this, we did not look at this conflict at first as if it's going to be a very big conflict, right? We were thinking probably, based on Donald Trump's assessment, that this was going to be a very short conflict, and probably in 2 weeks' time, Donald Trump was going to be giving probably his first press conference in Tehran, after he must have defeated the Iranians. But I think we are now going to the end. We are now very well close to the end of the second week, and Iran is still landing. Iran is not throwing punches. Iran is landing punches. And it seems as though Iran is well conditioned for this fight. It seems as though Iran has a game plan. It seems as if Iran even has more stamina to fight. Heavy blows are landing. Yes, we can get that out of the picture. US and Israel, they're dropping a lot of bombs, they are doing a lot of things, but if you look at the reaction from the reaction of Iran from the military standpoint, that is where you should look at it from. Don't look at it from the double tap and the soft targeting of the civilians, right? Look at it from the military, the IRGC standpoint. These guys are talking tough, not because they are talking tough. They are talking tough because they know what we don't know. And what they know that we don't know is coming from a place of long preparation, strategic planning. The Iranians are prepared for this war, not because they are saying it, but because based on the calculus of combat and the shift we are looking at, Iran is prepared for this conflict. We don't judge conflict based on what you are saying, or what you are posturing to be. If we are going to judge by what you are saying on social media, then we should be thinking right now that Donald Trump is about to submission the entire Iran, right? But from the calculus of combat that we are seeing on the ground, we are talking about the EMAD missile, the Quad missile, the Koram Shah 4, we are talking about the Fatah missile, we are talking about the Kodash missile. There are several. I was looking at something about 20 different missile capability from the Iranians. And to be honest with you, luck can win battle. Strategy wins war. Luck can win you battles. Strategy wins war, not luck. Okay? And I can tell you that some of the American strikes that were successful, probably taking out some of the, IRGC personnel, a few of them, because America, I can categorically tell you that they've not been able to delete up to 500 IRGC personnel. From the videos they have been posting, I doubt it critically. I seriously doubt it. But we know from evidence that multiple American personnel have been targeted. We cannot even count how many Israeli IDF soldiers have been KIA in action, because those ones have put padlock on their information. They don't want the world to see it. But based on the complaint from the civilian and the strike capability that have been deployed by the Iranians, most especially the glide bomb, the Koram Shah 4, that deploys. Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Nelson. The Koram Shah 4 that splits mid-flight, releasing 80 submunition, not just mid-flight, but while it's already within touching distance of the target, which is also hypersonic, right? Iran has been able to prove that they have the escalation control. And because they have the escalation control, that is why they continue to tell you that they will be the one to decide how the war will end. Are they going to be the one to decide? We don't know. Now, what America was trying to do is to finish off Iran with air supremacy, air dominance. And I think the reason why America thinks this way is because of their technology, the birds they have, the B-52 Stratofortress, the B-1s, the B-2 bomber. When you look at the varieties of birds that America have and the way their pilots are, you kind of will believe that they should be able to get air dominance. But unfortunately, that has not happened. That should shock everybody. It should shock you. America came in with almost 5 early warning aircrafts. They came with 5. These things were deployed on their carrier strike group. They came in with multiple refueling tankers. They came in with the USS Abraham Lincoln, USS Gerald Ford. When America was, when they were amassing these capabilities, we thought, yes, this is going to be the end of Iran. At some point, I was like, damn. But Ayatollah Khamenei was telling us that, look, this is nothing, right? But I was telling myself that, man, it is something. But right now, we are seeing that all these capabilities will not deter the will of the Iranians. Now, when you look at the way the American personnel, most especially their Air Force, when you look at the way these guys carry out their operation, I think these guys, I won't say they are merciless or something. I will say that they are robotic in how they perform their job. They don't care. They are going out to, accomplish their instruction. Whatever instruction they've been given, they go out there, they carry it out, they turn back, reload, move out again. Okay? Now, Iran knows that America has all this capability. So Iran, while they were planning, they've anticipated a lot of things, a lot of possibilities. Okay, they might probably bomb our oil reserve. They might probably destroy our desalination plants. They might probably blow some of the. They might even destroy the main bunker. If we have a central, underground city that we depend on, they might eventually destroy the city. So what did Iran do? Iran make sure that they decentralize, the underground command control center. So there is not one particular place that the Americans can say that this is where we have the IRGC. You have them in some of the, the places that have not even been bombed at all in Iran. Some of those look. That's why you see that every day Iran continue to fire multiple missiles. America continue to do everything inside Tehran. But the question is, what if the IRGC are not firing their capabilities from Tehran? What if their main command control center is not in Tehran? Just a question. And all this is happening because the IRGC planned properly and they anticipated everything that America was bringing into the game. They did not know, but they anticipated the worst scenario. And that is how you prepare for a war against an enemy that on paper is the overwhelming favorite. You prepare for every possibility. So because Iran is prepared for every possibility, to the point where I believe that they equally prepared for a threat to their existence. I know that a lot of people are not thinking in this direction. Israel has a nuclear, multiple nuclear warheads. America is, they have multiple nuclear warheads, both official and unofficial. I believe they have, several nuclear warheads. But one thing that we are not thinking about is it possible that Iran either has a nuclear warhead as the ultimate equalizer, just in case their existence is threatened? The IRGC command control, do they obey Ayatollah Khamenei completely? Just another question. Then there's another question. If the IRGC have been thinking that this fatwa has been the same reason why these people have attempted to destroy us on multiple occasions, and they have now enriched their uranium to the point where with just little contribution, they are going to have multiple warheads. According to information that we heard, they said in a month, Iran produced over 3,000 ballistic missiles of different grade, okay? And I'm very, very happy that Burkina Faso had a strategic agreement with Iran for transfer of technology. Why? If Hezbollah can learn from Iran and they are now making Hezbollah and the Yemenis Houthi, they have their own indigenous missile capability that they learned from Iran. Hezbollah is not a country. Yemenis, Houthis, these guys are not. These guys are. These guys don't have enough financial resources, right? Now imagine a country like Burkina Faso that has a vast amount of gold reserve and all these natural resources. That means the unthinkable might happen, right? So this is one of the best, in my opinion, from the military standpoint. And when it comes to transfer of technology and true bilateral cooperation, I think Iran is the best, in my opinion. I believe every other guy, every other ally, in a way, they still need the AES state to be dependent on them. In a way. But I think Iran is this, I think they are this type of people that they think the world has underestimated them so much. And that situation when you want to show the world that, look, man. So another information is I am surprised when you look at the size of that missile city, that underground missile city. How are they able to do that? That is one invention that the world should be looking at right now. Now, in every war, every great war, that has always led to the fall of one empire, right? There is always one side that comes into that war with overwhelming capability. Number, everything. The guy comes and everybody feels like, man, this is going to be a stroke. But history has taught us that whatever we think going into that conflict, most of the time we are wrong. It is the weaker side that end up destroying the stronger side. It's always a long conflict. Now, the stronger side, we beat up the weak side so bad. And at some point, because of the sheer will, it is not always because of capabilities. It is always because of the will and the never say never spirit of the weaker side that makes the weaker side dominate the stronger side at a point. Look at Napoleon. This guy came into Russia overwhelmingly outmatching the Russians. When Adolf Hitler came, overwhelming. Look at the American, adventure in Afghanistan, in Vietnam, right? Every huge guy that I've in history, the smaller guy is always beating up the bigger guy. And we have to look at the reason why this happens. Number one is preparation. Unfortunately, when these things happen, the weaker side is always more prepared. Even though they are going to come into the fight with, capabilities that you can always ignore, right? The weaker side is always more prepared, mentally prepared, okay? Again, the weaker side always have more will and desire to dethrone the guy that everybody calls the champion, like the real bad around the corner of the street. The underdog always come with that desire to destroy that big guy. Now we're talking about country in this perspective. And one of the reasons why the weaker side always destroy on paper, the weaker side always destroy the bigger side is because the weaker side always have some level of motivation to their will that we believe we don't have what you have, but we know that we are better than you and we can defeat you. Now, everybody will be looking at them like, what are you talking about? But gradually, the weaker side will start breaking down the stronger side. And the reason why they can break down the stronger side is down to strategy. Conventionally, strategically, the stronger side always come from a conventional standpoint. I have aircraft, I have I have my navy, I have my marines, I have this, I have that, I have allies, I have economic strength and every other thing. But the weaker side always come with something. Asymmetric warfare. The asymmetric warfare is the ultimate equalizer to an overwhelming odds. Yes, the asymmetric warfare is meant to neutralize that significant advantage. If you look at Nigeria, the Nigerian military, most of the time, they lose more personnel in every engagement against terrorists. If you calculate the attrition rate every day, there is a high probability that the terrorists, they can sustain the fight on a long term, right, than the Nigerian military. Now Nigeria said it was time they said they need 24,000 soldiers. They got less than 7,000 that were willing to join the army. So that means on the long term, and the terrorists can easily recruit people and all of that. So when it comes to strategy, the essence of the asymmetric warfare is guerrilla attack, to ambush, to take advantage of the superior enemy. Another thing is unity. If you look at America right now, most of the American citizens do not support this war that Donald Trump is waging in the Middle East. Right? There are few Iranians that are not supporting Iran right now. Number one, the Iranians in diaspora. They are not supporting the Iranians at home. There are these people in every community that don't want to be a part of that community. And probably maybe when the empire was building up, these were some, these were some people, right? Tribes, whatever, that they incorporated into the empire. Iran was once an empire. And probably when they were coming up with their military strength and everything, all those people, but history has told us that as times goes on, these people will continue to say they don't want to be a part of that empire. But because most of the time they are not always the majority, then, the will of the majority always override their will. Now, these people are always they are Achilles heel of those empires. America will even have this type of people, but they don't know yet because America is the reigning empire. It's only if you have another empire that is stronger than America, that has the will to attack America, that is where you will know that there are people within America that will betray America very easily. Just the way they get assets from other nations, there are assets within America too. Now, the funny thing is, most of the time, the weaker guy end up flooring the stronger guy. And the reason is because the stronger guy is always coming from a place of overconfidence. And why is the stronger guy always overconfident? I was able to map out these things because of the capacity of the stronger guy, economic capacity and, finance, weapons, personnel, allies, influence, and politics. the stronger guy is always overconfident, right? That was why Donald Trump said within 3 weeks, within 4 weeks, we would have been able to carry, to be able to strategically deal a very deadly blow on Iran. And up until now, no regime change, no control of the Strait of Hormuz, like nothing strategic has happened. Nothing. Okay? And I said something. I said, because they've not been able to carry out a strategic, decisive victory, they are going to create a false victory. And how will they create that false victory? They are going to soft targets. Now, because the soft targets, the public opinion is going to shift. How will it shift? If you remove the targeting of the desalination plant and you remove, the schoolgirls, you remove the attack on the oil plant, right? You will discover that you cannot pick. If you remove these three things, the attack on the schoolgirls, if you remove the attack on the desalination plant and the attack on the oil reserve, right, you will discover that America and Israel against Iran is still almost draw. That is, I'm saying draw because we don't even know what is going on in Israel. We don't have a clear picture of how devastating the situation in Israel is. So because we don't have it, I will give it a draw. But if we have that picture, then I can tell you that Iran should be ahead of schedule right now. The reason why these guys are hitting schools and hitting is because Iran has done a lot of damage on the other side. I can categorically tell you, we've seen the Quram Shah 4 blow up bunkers. Bunkers got shattered completely. And this is why these guys are now cutting off cameras, doing everything they can do to just make sure that, according to the information, they said the censorship is military grade. It's not just civilian grade of censorship. According to the information, they said it's military grade censorship. You can't just post, the video, but I wonder how videos are still coming out, okay? And you know that sometimes when the reporters of the mainstream media are reporting, the next thing you are hearing is behind them. The sirens are blowing, right? It means that they cannot deny this. But let them continue to deny, right? So overconfidence will lead to a lot of mistake. And because they underestimate the opponent will do something that will make public opinion shift. And because the public opinion is shifting, which is against the interest of the empire will become emotional. And that takes us to the second data, which is emotion. And emotion is coming from a place of underestimation of the enemy. Now, when they underestimate the enemy, there will be bad strategy. Bad strategy will lead to some catastrophic, mistake. This mistake will lead to frustration, right? Frustration from every side, frustration back home, frustration from every side. Now, this frustration will lead to exhaustion over time. Donald Trump has given everybody a target. I am going to completely regime change this country within so time. And because he has not done that, there is frustration. That was why you saw the video in the White House where, a lot of prayer warriors, they laid Buddha palms on him and they were speaking in tongue, right? Because there is an enormous level of frustration that, the camera is not just speaking for us. What happens after this is that our man become exhausted. And why is he exhausted? Because he wants a breakthrough so bad. Now, Everything I'm explaining here, the perfect candidate for this is Donald Trump. Yes, it's the perfect candidate for it. Now, the worst candidate for this type of calculation I'm making here is Barack Obama. Okay, but the best candidate for this type of failure is Donald Trump. Because if you look at his personality, it fits into everything. Now we are going to get there. Now, this emotional disaster, from frustration, bad strategy to frustration to exhaustion. Exhaustion will now lead to, when you are exhausted, you miscalculate, you make a lot of terrible decisions that is going to cost you. Now, because it's costing America, some bad decision will now be multiplying. That is why you are now hearing drafts, boots on the ground. Iran has shown that outsourcing your security to any foreign power is a critical mistake. That's true. That's very, very true. Now you can see that America is now talking about boots on the ground. And what will this create? This boots on the ground conversation will now lead to unnecessary drafting. What will this create again? The unnecessary drafting will create a situation where the training time of personnel is not going to be good enough. Okay? So there are some personnel that are going to be undertrained and they're just going to push them out. Because we might be talking about gunfight. America might get to Iran and it's a drone fight. So this will be a completely different conversation. I have seen videos of Iran attacking enemy recently with drone, FPV drone. So you might be thinking it's a rifle, AK-47, effective range of probably 3,500 with GPMGs and all of that. And they get there and it's a drone fight. If it's a drone fight, no matter your training, you are useless. If it's a drone fight, when you come out with your full loadout, your bulletproof, your sights, everything is there. You walk heavily. You don't have that maneuverability to, just move around and run and do all those things. That would be catastrophic, right? And this whole mistake is coming from two things: overconfidence, underestimating the enemy, and emotion. And everybody knows right now that Donald Trump is a very, very emotional president. You cannot say, I have not seen a situation since this second regime of Donald Trump. Like, look at what he did with the Nobel Prize Peace Award winner and all those things. Maria Corina Machado, right? Donald Trump made sure that he did not leave that woman alone until that woman gave him that peace, that peace award, right? So you are dealing with an emotional person, and because you are dealing with an emotional person, this is a catastrophe. The catastrophe is waiting, sitting. In fact, that catastrophe, there is Amatan with the catastrophe, and the catastrophe is Jimmy waiting. Now, the bigger problem is, because of all this mistake, because of the personality of every empire, and the person to complement it, Donald Trump is now the icing on the cake in this occasion. You now have arrogance. Arrogance is coming from a place of, you are making a strategic mistake and people are telling you. You are getting public opinion, and public opinion is that you have made a mistake. Try and get out of this, okay? And the next thing you will have is arrogance will cause the hegemon to start losing allies. Yes. Arrogance will will make the hegemon to start losing allies. And because at a point, the allies, now you know that everybody is suffering from the economy now. The economy disaster, everybody's suffering from it. The Strait of Hormuz have been closed. So some people will now be trying to, pressure Donald Trump to, like, please, let us catch our breath. It's shocking. Now we are hearing that, over 50,000 Germans have now lost their job. Over 50,000. This is a recent information. And more will continue to lose their job. Because the economy of this country is, like Germany is a manufacturing economy. And for you to have a good economy, you need cheap energy, right? Now, and they cannot go to Russia because according to information, the Russian oil is sanctioned, and all these things is just so because of the arrogance of the hegemon, most of the allies of the hegemon will now be forced, not because they want to do it willingly, they will be forced to look for an alternative. Now, because the hegemon is always entitled, I will sanction you, I will tariff you, I will do this, you will pay 20% tariff. The hegemon will now find herself in an isolated situation. And instead of the hegemon to now sit back and be like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, I will go like this, the hegemon will now go all in alone. And the only thing that leads to at that point is an unstoppable disaster. An unstoppable disaster. Okay? Reputation will be gone. The cost will be so devastating. And at that point, the hegemon will not be able to do anything anymore. Now, the only thing that happens after this phase is a catastrophic downfall. And that is a guarantee. Okay, that is a guarantee. Now, let's take that out. The next thing is, let's look at the two consequential figures in this conflict. Donald Trump, Mojtaba Khamenei, right? These are two completely different human beings. Donald Trump, the representative of the U.S., Mojtaba Khamenei. Now, Donald Trump is a showman. He's a showman. You almost will see him everywhere. On Truth Social, on X, you will see him like giving news. Donald Trump is always out there. He's a man for the camera. Mojtaba Khamenei is really seen. I've never heard about him up until now that he lost his father. Right? P.T. Barnum. Right? I have just seen, this is the first time we are seeing this guy. And after he was announced as the new supreme leader, we are now hearing things like he started fighting for his country at the age of 17. We started hearing things like this guy is one of the, huge hardliners in Iran. This means a lot, right? So these two qualities, right, is very, very decisive in trying to predict where the war will end. Then one is emotional. I know you know the one that is emotional. One is very, very calm. From my study, Mojtaba Khamenei is very, very calm. I know you must have been getting this rumor that some people said he got injured. Some people said they have not seen him. And there is a probability that maybe one of the U.S. strikers actually, taken him out. The truth is that they want to see him. They want to know his location. They don't know where he is. Today, what happened? The Iranians, while they were protesting, they brought a paper, like a poster. They brought it outside, right? They were laughing when they brought it outside. You want to see Mojtaba? This is the paper. They brought it out. His picture was painted on the paper, right? Now, the funny thing is this. The Iranians know. They know so well that he is a top priority target right now. So the strategy will be to keep him away. As long as he's alive, there is hope. Okay? Now, one is a bully and the other is a dangerous underdog, right? One is motivated by financial gains. One is always motivated by financial gains. Why Mojtaba Khamenei is motivated by destiny, because he never dreamt that he was going to be the supreme leader. He was going to be the next in line. He did not dream that I was going to be here in this moment, leading the destiny of his people. And Mojtaba Khamenei is also leading his people to an existential through an existential conflict. But you have someone that is only, according to information, it's over for the U.S. economy. The Strait of Hormuz is completely closed. That's the breaking news that we have right now. When Donald Trump said, if they try to mine the Strait of Hormuz, I'm going to hit them with overwhelming force. That is what we are analyzing right now. Just looking at these two guys, you can see a lot of difference. And Donald Trump is going to play a very huge role in this. Now, one is an extrovert. That's Donald Trump. Mojtaba looks like an introvert to me. We've not even seen this guy do anything since he took power. But he's a very, very consequential figure in Iran. Donald Trump has zero military experience. Oh, man. One has been fighting since 17. Now, let me tell you something. There was this embarrassing video that is out there. Donald Trump was asked by one of the correspondents about the Tomahawk situation. That from analysis, they discovered that was a U.S. Tomahawk cruise missile. The answer was so embarrassing. Like, I was expecting this same arrogant answer that, yeah, we didn't do it. The next thing Donald Trump was like, I did not, I don't know about it. This was the information that I was like, what? Did you just say you don't know anything about this? And you come on you come on camera and you talk like you're having air supremacy and all of that, as if you know what you are talking about. I'm going to post that video on the Telegram. He said he does not understand. So why not allow Pete Hegseth talk? Just let him talk. So that is why you have Pete Hegseth saying something and Donald Trump is saying something different. People are even saying there was a particular situation where what Pete Hegseth said was different from what Marco Rubio said, and what Marco Rubio said is completely different from what Donald Trump said. So you have a coalition of confused people. So the last thing is, Donald Trump has everything to lose. Everything. Political, financial. There is a chance he might go to jail. A lot of things is involved with Donald Trump. He has everything to lose. Reputation and everything. Destruction of the U.S. empire is even part of it. And you have a boy from nothing who has absolutely nothing to lose. His wife is gone. His mom is gone. His father is gone. His child is gone. His nephew is gone. You've been able to clean out his entire family, right? So this is somebody whose heart is probably bleeding, is empty inside, and very, very dangerous. And that is why I think Donald Trump is saying things like, I don't like the new supreme leader they've chosen. I should have been involved in the selection process. I should have been this, I should have been that. The reason is because even if they reach a peace deal now, the fact that Mojtaba Khamenei is the new leader will make it more than impossible for Iran to be attacked again. Because I can promise you, the next time anybody attack Iran, it will not be funny. Because I think this guy will remove his father's fatwa completely. He has the will. He has the motivation to do it now. And according to the information we are hearing, they said he has now decided to improve their military and their capabilities. Okay? What you said is very, very funny. They said he has decided that the IRGC must improve their capability. So now they have hypersonic capabilities, right? They have hypersonic ballistic capability. They have drones. They've not developed from drone to cruise missile, but we don't know. According to the information we are hearing today, there are this type of drone that Iran is shooting currently that looks like the Russian Monia drone. I don't know if a lot of people know the Monia, one of the most dangerous capability that Russia deploys. Okay, people have seen it now that Iran has deployed it too. But that is aside. Okay, you have a very, very dangerous element in this guy called Mojtaba Amenei. If he's saying he wants the military and their strategic capability to be improved, is he saying that now they need to go from the intermediate range ballistic capability to the long range capability? If they are going to have a long range capability, is it going to be nuclear? So these are questions we need to be asking, right? Now, let's go to the political strength of those people. Most Americans don't support this. Most Americans don't support Donald Trump. Facts from, social media, statistics, what people say about when you look at the response of American citizens, man, these people don't really rate Donald Trump from where I am to where I'm standing, right? So this only means that Donald Trump does not have the necessary backing. That means there is no unity. So he is not so motivated to be involved in a long conflict because the framework to enable a long conflict is not there. He doesn't have the political backing at home. Probably a few people might be supporting him, but when your country is not united, when your citizens are not uniting around you in dangerous situations and in dangerous time, there is a high probability that you might lose, right? And in Iran, you have a lot of Iranians supporting this guy to the point that this very close to them, a missile was dropped and they continue to shout, Mojtaba Khamenei at your service. Mojtaba Khamenei at your service. The day they announced him, this guy went on a joy stroll. They were just launching missiles at Israel. And they were shouting Allahu Akbar. Okay? The religious motivation is a different thing. And you will see that because America was trying, this American leadership, they were trying to look for a reason to fight, to motivate the guys, because the morale of the fighters is not even something to write them about. Then the next thing we heard was they said this fight is for Jesus. It's for the coming of Jesus, right? I don't know where that is coming from here anyway. He said this is the fight that will bring Armageddon and is the fight for Jesus and all of that. That is a different conversation. So if Iran is that guy that stops you from bringing that situation of Armageddon where whatever person is going to come, we don't want that. Iran should probably knock you out where you stand. Okay? I'm in support of that. Armageddon to these people means nuclear war where everybody, probably goes. Because of the selfish interest of some couple, man. So now let's talk about escalation, right? Because the US military leadership is now emotional and less tactical, they want to escalate very fast. And escalation is something you should do gradually. Escalation goes along with rules of engagement. America launched a preemptive strike. The preemptive strike was unjustified, okay? Everything they've done in this conflict is not justified and is an abuse of international law. Well, they continue to claim that there is no international law. And because they are now acting and behaving as if there is no international law, the end game of this conflict is going to be, that's why we say it's a lose-lose for the United States. Okay? Now, they've now lost the moral justification to sustain a long war because what the United States seek in this conflict is complete dominance. When you look at the strength of the Russians and you look at the military strength of China and North Korea, coming into this conflict, the plan of the United States is to show the world that I am the supreme, like nobody dares. Nobody, I will crush you. That is the plan of the US, right? Now getting into the conflict. And when the big guy, the cash cow, the golden goose is about to, the money guy is in the stage and is ready to show off, everybody will stay and everybody is paying attention. They want to learn. But what are we learning now? That the US is not untouchable. Iran, probably before the start of this war, you will rate, you will rate Turkey, you will rate Pakistan, you will almost pick everybody in the. If you ask me before now, I'll probably say Saudi Arabia is even stronger. But now, what are we seeing? We are seeing a different situation entirely. Iran did not only serve the coalition, right? Iran served everybody in almost everybody in the Persian Gulf. Make sure that everybody had a lot of missile to the point of satisfaction. Iran was not serving food. Iran was serving drones and missiles. Now, you see, because US is emotional and they seek dominance, Iran is very, very strategic because of their long-term planning and understanding the calculus of combat based on their, mastery of their capabilities, financial capability, and a lot of things, and also, their strengths. They have been able to, to realize that this is their strength, and they are playing towards their strength. They are so controlled. This is why I said they are controlling the escalation ladder. Okay? That's why you see America saying the war will soon end, and Iran continue to say, no, there will be no ceasefire. We will decide when this war will end. You see, Yoruba used to say, Egun to ba koko jo iran lawo gbeyin. That is, the masquerade that dance first we be the spectator that will be watching everybody last. Okay, America, from the blast of the whistle, boo, 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 everywhere was scattered. That is why you will kill school children, because there is no clear strategy. And when there is no clear strategy, you will make a lot of mistake. And because you are making a lot of mistake, you will make more. It will now become a chain of catastrophic decision, one after the other. But because Iran is calculated, you can see that Iran still continue to hit. Look at what Iran did. Saturated the air defense of destroyed the radar system. And the way this radar system works is that it's integrated everything is integrated for the protection of Israel. Long range to intermediate range to long range to short range to intermediate range. So this thing gave Israel enough time to prepare and to respond. That is why they tell you that the Iron Dome, okay, that the Iron Dome is a formidable defense capability. But people made a lot of mistakes while assessing the capability of the Iron Dome. They did not understand that it was because of the wall, the kind of heights that America has built around Israel through this integrated system in all the Persian Gulf states, that has been able to make the Iron Dome shine. Iran, knowing this, Iran completely made sure that the whole vision was probably blinded, destroyed those radar systems. That is why you have the Iron Dome. The radar have picked the movement of a missile. The siren is sounding, but you will still have the David Sling, the Arrow 3, and the Iron Dome missing the interception completely, because the integration of the radar system has completely been compromised. And again, from the 12-day war, Iran learned that we can actually outfight you, because from a defensive standpoint, strategically, you are not legit. You can only sprint. You cannot go on the marathon. And that's why you have Iran from the beginning of the war saying, we want a protraction. We want a long war, a war of attrition. And a war of attrition is a type of war that when you come out of the war of attrition from the losing standpoint, you will never ever remain the same. That is if you are even useful anymore. Russia fought Sweden for 21 years, and after that war, Sweden was never the same again. Russia fought Germany, and after that war, Germany was never the same country again. When Russia, now, let me tell you something. By the time Russia is done with Ukraine, Ukraine will never be will never be a reasonable country for a long, I don't know what the future will say, but for, Ukraine has the biggest military before they started the war with Russia. But now, what's going on now? So that is what a war of attrition brings. It completely destroyed the enemy beyond repair. At least by the time the enemy repairs or they will never be the same again. China, Japan, it was a war of attrition. Imagine when that war was fought. Look at Japan to this day. And when you lose a war of attrition, right? Everybody, even people that are not as strong as you are, they will start giving you orders after that war. They will start telling you that we cannot allow you to build this type of capacity that makes you a bully. We will not allow you to be a bully again, because now you are years behind schedule. And if you try to do anything, everybody see you as a threat and they can completely delete you. So now, the next thing that we have to look at is resources. Because the US seek domination, the next thing we will have is that they will start wasting resources. You can see that in the first 5 days of this war, they were just dropping bombs like they don't care. And before you know, everybody is now blaming that they've been able to waste a lot of money. When you calculate the cost of this war from the US standpoint, within how many days? So let's say US is being kept in this war for like 2 months. What will happen? But they believe that, they are the global reserve currency and all of that, and they can write it off and all of that. So now, another thing is that because you seek domination, you waste personnel. So that means if America bring boots on the ground because they seek domination, a lot of Americans are going to die in the Persian Gulf. I can guarantee you that. You can see that all this calculation, everything is going the way it's supposed to go. They have wasted resources. Now, personnel is the next product to be wasted, because the whole plan is completely, rubbish from the very start. Now, when they bring in personnel, they will waste the most experienced personnel, because this is asymmetry. They will take a lot of people out. You can see Lindsey Graham said he will go to is it South Florida or South Carolina, and he will go and tell the people there to go and bring your daughters and sons to come and fight for the pride of US, right? That is a different scenario entirely. Now, because Iran is controlled, they will conserve resources. They will be able to conserve personnel. When you look at the people that fight attritional war, they, they use sabotage team. And this sabotage team is a team of 3, 6, 9, with probably drone capability and all of that. They will be able to shut down a significant number. And America, when last did America fight a real war, right? What is their drone experience? The American soldiers, when it comes to real war, fighting terrorists is not the same as fighting a real war. I'm talking about a real war. A real war. It's not what Israel did with Hamas. Okay? They never win a military warfare. So now, because of this, Iran will equally spend less because they have the resources and everything they produce is indigenous. It's only the radar system, the long-range radars that China has been able to give them and some of the equipment, but majority of the Iranian equipment is indigenous. Now, the problem here is that the allies of America will now be forced into this fight. Even if some of them don't want to come in, they will force them into the fight. And the strength of the ally is going to play a significant role. UK is already in the conflict. Britain is already in the conflict, right? Canada, Germany is there. France is there. Lithuania, Ukraine, South Korea, Japan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, probably. But I can't really say Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia is still an ally of the West, right? Australia, thank you very much. Now you have to look at the capability of these enemies, right? You have to look at the capability. How many of those countries have nuclear capabilities? These countries that we're mentioning. You mentioned France. I don't know if Canada has nuclear weapon. Okay. When you pick France, and most of the nuclear weapon of France, they are not hypersonic. Like they are not empire real estate technology. So probably it's, hold capabilities, and anything can happen when you are deploying old capabilities. The people that are non-ally that we've seen, Italy is non-ally in this conflict. Spain is not talking to anybody. Vietnam, Mongolia, all those countries in the Southeast Asia, they're not trying to get themselves involved. Now, when you look at the allies of Iran, we're talking about Russia. Okay? Russia. We're talking about China. Okay? We're talking about Pakistan. When it came to a point in that 12-day war, when Pakistan discovered that Iran was on, the unfavorable side, Pakistan scrambled their fighter jets. Because Pakistan knows that when Iran falls, Pakistan is next. So don't get it. The only reason you can see that there's multiple false flag attack on Saudi Arabia and the others, right? But Pakistan continue to tell them, look, we have to calm this situation. Because of the defensive agreement that Pakistan has with Saudi Arabia and the rest, Pakistan is supposed to come, to their aid when they are facing a very desperate situation. But because Pakistan knows the importance of Iran, Pakistan will not let Iran fall. And Pakistan is another nuclear state. That's 3. The next, the Yemenis Houthis. Yemenis Houthis, these guys have been able to prove that they are even stronger than some countries. If not for the Hezbollahs, right? Maybe the Israelis will tell the Lebanese to leave their country completely. And that's why Africa needs to be very, very careful. Very, very, very careful. Because some of these guys, at the end of the day, they might try to resettle in Africa. And that means that they have to genocide a lot of ethnic Africans from their country. So we have to be very, very mindful. of our geopolitical strategy in Africa. The Prosper Africa project and all those other projects that are being carried out covertly now. We need to watch out in Africa. Something like that. Something like that. So, another partner is North Korea. Of Iran is North Korea, another nuclear state. When America traveled, when they went to recover the defense capability, North Korea said that they vehemently condemn what America has just done because they know that now they are at the mercy of North Korea. And now you have Belarus. When you have Russia, you have Belarus. So, and because countries like Hungary and Slovakia would not want to join the war, they would try to be non-ally and stay neutral. What you have is the contribution of these countries will be very, very crucial to either what happens if this conflict escalates beyond normal, or after the war, what will happen. So these are the guys that are going to check and balance. So if you look at the strength on both sides, that's why when you see Iran telling the world, we want this fight, there is something they know that we all don't know. So now, when it comes to military strength and economic strength, the Iranian side is militarily stronger. Economic strength, we know what the economy of Europe is talking about right now, based on the way they have been contributing to the Ukrainian war and all of that, sanctioning Russian energy. Sanctioning Russian energy is like Europe destroying herself and all of that. So, and when you talk about the Western Empire, everything they are all relying on America. All of them, America and Canada, probably, right? So America is going to, that's why I said in this conflict, America is the biggest loser. America is backing most of this country. Like, come on. America is the only state that is backing all these countries. France is no longer getting natural resources from most of the African states. No more gold from Burkina Faso, no more gold from Mali, no more rare earth mineral, no more lithium, no more zinc, no more cobalt. They are no longer getting uranium from Niger Republic. They were once selling energy, but now they are nowhere to be found again in the energy ladder. So what we will have after this conflict, whatever happens, is that we will have separation of power, decentralization of power. Because right now, America is the only seen, when you look at it from the economic standpoint and, from the dollar hegemony and everything, America looks like the only superpower right now. From when you look at, you put everything all together. But after this conflict, the world will be separated. It will be the unipolar world and the multipolar world. And the reason why this will happen is because there must be check and balance in everything in life. America dropped Tomahawk on little kids, right? And they were asking them that this was what you did. And the same people that dropped this Tomahawk are saying, we will investigate. How can you investigate such case? What are you investigating? Why should you be the one to investigate? Will you imprison yourself? You drop Tomahawk on school kids. The world is so much in, the world is so much in ransom right now that everybody continues to, the same people that drop this bomb on little kids are the same people that are going to be investigating what type of, and even if there are some separate entity that investigate, what would they do? When America abuse international law, you start hearing from people that there are no international law. But when it's Russia doing something, you hear it's an abuse on international law. We need to 19 package of sanction and all of those things. No, the world should be a fair place where people will not be judged by race and complexion, but by the content of their character. And right now, America is showing that they don't have that moral justification to lead the world anymore, unfortunately. So now this conflict, if it protracts beyond the calculated time of Donald Trump, which I think is going to, and I think Russia and China want a protracted war too, because a protracted war will destroy the dollar hegemon, and a protracted war will bring down the capacity of America. It will further expose America, most especially once they put boots on the ground. Oh my goodness. And I think Blumenthal was saying it today that, yes, they are looking towards putting boots on the ground. Now, the reason why they want to put boots on the ground is that they are, their strategic objective has not been achieved. None of it. None of it. You took out one Khamenei, another Khamenei came in. So you've not achieved anything. So the off-ramp now is that after this conflict, there will be check, there will be balance, because this will be the bet, the true bet of the multipolar world. And if it happens that Iran drags America through the mud, it means that America will no longer be the police of the entire universe again. So that is the off-ramp of this conflict. And everyone will now know that this bully is not invincible, it's not bulletproof. And that is the bad thing. When you are a bully, you want to fight, you want to put fear in everyone with everything you do. That is why, they are trying to look for dominance and everything right now. But because they are not getting it, and because this conflict will go a long way, and the longer it goes, the more, disgraceful is going to get. America is going to get what they are looking for. When you go into something you don't understand and people tell you what you are looking for, you will get it. Exactly. That's the situation we have right now. When Donald Trump said this war is about to end, and you have the Iranians saying there will be no ceasefire, they are talking from a place of strength. They are not talking from a place of ignorance. So families, the billion-dollar question again is, what is it that Iran knows that we don't know? Now, my own question is, Iran, do you have a nuclear weapon? Because that is the only reason why America will say we want to de-escalate, and you are saying you want the smoke. Because the only reason why you can say you want the smoke is if you have the ultimate equalizer. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue to monitor the information. I'll continue to bring you the updates. So I want to thank you all for coming. Something happened to my account today. I did not believe that I would be on this live once more, but I'm very, very thankful I have the opportunity to meet you all once more. So thank you, and God bless you.